Hey, Internet peeps, welcome to another Friday edition of the Corporate Gamer Podcast. I am a gracious host, Corporate Gamer. This is episode 17, recorded on June 30th, 2017, the SNES Classic Mini. Hope that everybody had a great week. For us, in at least in Montreal, Quebec, it was a 4-day week, so it was pretty nice to have that. And now we have another 3-day weekend with Canada Day coming up. And for those that are listening to me from the United States, you also have your 4th of July. So happy 4th of July if you're listening to this at that time. And I think we're going to get right into it. So normally I go with the games I played in the last week. So in the last week I've played this game called The Node. I've mentioned this previously, and I think also in certain reviews. Basically, it's a puzzle game it's like Tetris essentially um, for Xbox, PC, Linux, and Mac. Uh, to be quite honest, it's um, it's actually Dr. Mario kind of meets Tetris. You have to build a bunch of nodes and you have to connect them all with the different types of colors, and then you connect them and you have long sequences of chains and you get as long as you don't hit the top. So that's a really fun game. I encourage anybody to buy to actually play it. Unfortunately, it's been out for a while. I just don't see any traction. I know there's a lot of leaderboards, and I'm in the top 10 in a lot of them, which is really rare. Usually, I can't even make the top 10 or even close to the top 100,000. Um, but in this game, I'm assuming there's not a lot of people that are playing it, unfortunately. But it doesn't take away from the game. It's really fun. It's been out for about 2 years now, and yeah, um, that's it. Next on the list, I mentioned this last week. Sega Forever. I've had a chance to play a little bit more of it. More important, I played more with Sonic and with um, play with Sonic, Kid Chameleon mostly. I downloaded Phantasy Star 2 and Altered Beast. When I initially played Altered Beast, it was horrible. It was so janky and stuttery that I didn't even bother playing it again. And I didn't play Phantasy Star, so I can't really say anything on that. But I've played Sonic and Kid Chameleon, and I actually, in my stories, I'm going to go into a little bit more. Um, let's just put it this way: I was very excited for this, and I'm kind of disappointed in the way that it's turned out. So, yeah, sorry, it's just not working out for that. So that's it. That's what I've been playing in the last week. So let me know what you guys think. Uh, Sega Forever. Have you guys played it? What was your experience with it? Um, I've noticed that online there's a lot of people that have expressed their concerns, and yeah, we'll go into it a little bit later. So let's go to the title story or the headline story of the week, which is the announcement of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Mini. So similar to the NES Classic Mini, this is going to be a console that you'll be able to plug in through HDMI and and play in HD all your favorite SNES games. Um, the games that are listed are okay. A lot of them are pretty fun. So let's go through them. So you have Contra 3, The Alien Wars, which is fine. Donkey Kong Country, the original, which is good. It's great. Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, which I honestly I'll make a lot of enemies, but I really don't care. I've never been a big Final Fantasy gamer or player, so I can't really say that I love this, but a lot of people do like it. F Zero, which is kind of a racing game. Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, um, Mega Man X, um, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, Star Fox 2, which we'll get into a little bit later, um, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG Legend of Seven Stars. I don't know why this is on there. Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch Out, and Yoshi's Island. So that's the list that's provided. Um, I mean, the games are pretty. They're going to be pretty fun. I think the majority of them. I think for nostalgia reasons, I think people will be happy with them. I know that some certain people have nitpicked the fact that some games are. Yeah, I think some games could have been better. Um, like for example, for me, Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 should have been on here. Um, I don't know if it's a licensing thing or they couldn't get on it. You have less games on this console than you had on the NES Classic Mini. Yes, it's 16-bit, but I mean, I don't think it was stretching it by putting 30 games on here. So they could have expanded on the number of games a little bit more. Um, I'm not a big fan of Final Fantasy, so to me that's kind of a throwaway. Um, there's two racing games on here, which I find a little bit disappointing. Usually, if you have a limited list, you don't put racing games. So you have F Zero and Super Mario Kart. I would have put one or the other. Chances are Super Mario Kart would have won. So I would have removed probably F Zero at that point. Legend of Zelda, that's fine. Mega Man X, I guess that's okay. Not a big fan of the X series personally, but a lot of people do like it. Never really played Secret of Mana either, so I don't know if that will be a game for me, but I would try it like anything else. Star Fox and Star Fox 2. So Star Fox was released for the Super NES, and that's great. Everybody knows the game. Star Fox 2 is actually an unreleased game. I'm sure if you read online and you've read up on it, you probably know this already. It was a game that was finished and ready to be released when Nintendo actually canceled it because it was the release of the N64, and they didn't want to release it for a number of reasons, and finally, it never actually got released officially. There's been ROMs going around, and like basically some of them were good, some of them were less good. Officially, they're re-releasing it on here. Um, so I guess it's an extra bonus that you're getting this game that never officially got released. I guess it's a little, bait to get you to buy the console, which is fine. Um, Super Castlevania 4, which is okay. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, it's Ghouls and Ghosts. Super Mario Kart was great. Super Mario World is great. Metroid, Punch Out, which is one of my favorites, and Yoshi's Island. So I think the last two, three that we other than RPG, Mario RPG, I think those are good games. Could they? I think they could have packed in a little bit more games in here for the value that you're getting. Personally, the games are okay for the price. So the price is going to be $79.99 USD, which is roughly going to hold you back to $90 plus tax in Canada. Usually it's $89.99 in Canada plus tax. Um, it will be popular for sure. People. So also, in addition to this, I was not aware of this. They had pre-orders open in UK, Australia, and a few other places, but not North America. And those places are already sold out, which I have a feeling they're going to have the same issue as they did with the NES Classic Mini. Um, I would love to own this, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to get one because I probably will never be able to get my hands on one, which is not great. Um, Other than that, I mean, I can actually talk about the second story here. So, um, they've already reported on Ars Technica that there's fears of limited SNES Classic supply lead to 150% online resale markup. So already people are reserving, and they've already boosted the price, and the SNES Mini Classic European Edition are selling to close to $400 already for a 79.99 console USD. That's insane. And I just hate this. It's one thing that really irritates me. Scalpers or price gouging. It just annoys the shit out of me. Um, and people are gonna make money on this, and then you have people that buy them, and then they have like two, three, four of them, and then they sell them at a higher price, which is fine. It's their prerogative. And then you have people like me that can barely even get their hands on one. And then I don't fall into that trap of buying it at a higher price. I'll be honest with you, it's not worth it. Most of these games you can get on ROMs, and you can get on free emulators. I can use my Retrobit generation controller to play these games, so I really don't care. I can play these on emulation. Uh, yes, it's not doesn't have the polish of the console, the mini console, but I really don't care. This is more for my wife, and yeah, it's going to be the same problems again with as the NES Classic Mini. You're going to have shortages. People are going to try and go online. They're going to sell out. You're going to go to EB Games. They're going to have two per store. Unless you freaking sleep there for 3 days, you're not going to get one. I just, man, why Nintendo? Why are you doing this? And on top of that, I mentioned this before. I don't know why they're kind of doing this as well, because I'm assuming the online service for the Switch is not going to be ready till well into the new year. And they're going to go and they're doing this to kind of appease, I guess, the masses until that's ready. These games are going to be released for free at one point or another on the online service, for sure. Um, it's just so at that point, I might as well wait to buy myself a Switch if I am going to get a Switch, and then just go and play on with that. And as long as I have an online subscription, the thing is that if I run out of my online subscription, I don't keep the games, which is fine. I still have my original NES, a Super NES. So I mean, worst case scenario, I know a lot of some of these games you can't get, like Star Fox 2, but the majority of them you can pretty much find them online on eBay, on Amazon, somewhere. Um, so yeah, so that's my take on it. Super NES announced this week out of nowhere. So yeah, um, let's see how that goes. I'm hoping that it will be. I think it's going to be released for September 29th, I believe. So yeah, so that's going to be pretty soon. Let's hope that yeah, September 29th, 2017. So I'm gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna try and get one, but I'm not keeping my hopes up on this one. So that's my take on this new Super Nintendo announcement this week. Next story on the list is the July games with gold for the Xbox One and 360. So I'll go through the games and then I'm going to talk about a little bit about them. So the first set of games are going to be from July 1st to July 31st. You can get Grow Up, which is a follow up to the Grow Home game. It was released August of last year. Then from July 16th to August 15th, you're also going to be able to play Runbow, which is a multiplayer platformer. Um, then you're going to be able to play Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days from July 1st to July 15th. And then from July 16th to July 31st, you're going to have Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, the video game. So a lot of people have been complaining because last month the games were AAA games and amazing, and this month is a little bit more disappointing. Every month can't be a winner. Um, it's free. I mean, you can't really go wrong with free. You know, some of these games you might get surprised. I know they're not big. Kane and Lynch, I know, had a lot of backlash when it first came out, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But as for the other games, I mean, I like platformers, so I'm going to try them out like I do every month and see if I like some of them. If I don't play them. They're in my library, and I'm going to maybe pick them up at one point. But I mean, it's free games. I mean, you're going to have some months that are worth, and it's also the lull of summer. Um, you know, there's no big releases really coming out now. So yeah, I kind of expected it. The next month I'm expecting to be really big is probably going to be September, October. So that's it. Those are the games for the month. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys going to get them? Let me know. Next on the list, Sega Forever. Oh Lord. So Sega Forever is Sega's initiative to release old retro games for free on mobile. Um, the idea was great. I was really enthusiastic about it. I was really gung ho about it. And I will be very honest, I'm kind of disappointed in it. Um, Number one, regardless, yes, it's free. I get it, it's free. But it's so stuttery. So, from all the games that I've played, uh, Sonic is probably the one that plays the best. Um, uh, it's less janky, it's less stuttery, it plays well. The controls are okay, I guess, for soft controls. I mean, they're as good as you can get probably on that. So they probably put a lot of effort on Sonic because it's kind of the headliner, and it's probably the least worst of the bunch. Kid Chameleon is absolutely atrocious. The controls are bad. It stutters all the time. I don't know if it's because it's my iPhone or if it's the hardware. It's really bad. Altered Beast is unplayable. Um, it just enemies keep hitting me, and all I do is hit the button, and it's not moving. They're not hitting. He's not. My character's not hitting the enemies back. It's just really, really bad. I don't know if on Android there's the same issue, but my experience with this is horrible. Um, I really wanted to like this. I really wanted to enjoy this and play this and I just can't play this on my way to work. I can't play this at home. It's just really, really bad. Um, I wanted to do a stream about them at one point on Twitch, just to show the gameplay, and it looks horrible. Um, so maybe I'll do it again just to show how bad it is. But I'm not a big fan of them right now. Yes, they're free. I'm going to keep playing them. Hopefully, there's going to be updates. The emulator in the background is, I think, called Unity or something like that. Sega is backing them up, saying, "Oh, there's various hardware and blah blah blah." Look, these games are not freaking God of War graphics. It's freaking 16-bit graphics. Sonic. It's not. It's a platformer. Doesn't take that much juice out of a freaking out of a phone. So at the end of the day, I think it's a botched experience. I hope that they do improve with patches and stuff. Is it a little too late? Maybe not. But now I'm actually wondering. They're releasing the flashbacks, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive flashback. I just hope it's a lot better than this. If the emulation is just as bad, wow. I know the Atari ones were pretty good. So we'll see. Time will tell. But I'm really disappointed in Sega Forever. Uh, I'll play around with it a little bit more. Um, I will say though that it takes. I mean, I'm not usually not the one that buys. You can play for free. It's ad supported, and then I like the model. And then once you have if you find them annoying or whatever, you can pay, I think, 99 cents or whatever it is, and then you can have the ads removed. I actually find the ads intrusive and annoying. And I'm used, I guess, to playing platformers like Sonic, where you don't have to wait for a commercial in between, and they're 5 seconds, and then you can press the X and they disappear. It's not horrible, but it gets annoying after 2 3 times where you're trying to get through the game, and it's like there's a pop up, um, and it seems to when there's the pop up and when there's the ad it throws the flow of the game off, and then it takes a small period of time to adjust. So it's like stuttery for a little bit. Um, Not a great experience. The model is good. It's just the execution I think was horribly done. That's my take on it. Uh, I'm gonna continue probably playing Sonic because it's the game that I grew up with. I was more of a Sonic guy, more of a Genesis guy when I growing up. So for me, a lot of these games speak to me a lot more than the Super NES. For example, a lot of the games on Super NES. Um, yeah, so this is that's my take on Sega Forever. Let me know. Have you guys had any experience with it? I know I asked you before at the beginning of the show, but let me know. I'd really like to hear your thoughts of how you found this game. Does it work properly for you? Do you like the controls? I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of soft controls naturally because I find you don't have that feedback, the proper feel of a button. But I mean, I'm probably more old school than the average. So let me know what you guys think. Sega Forever, not a great product as of now. Hopefully, it will improve. All right, we're down to our last bit, which is the weekly games of the week. These are games that are running from the 25th to July 2nd. So Monday, June 26th, we had Secret World Legends for PC, and also Brawlhalla for the PS4. I have no clue what that is. Tuesday, June 27th, was the Mega Day for everything that was released. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered standalone release for the PS4. Diablo 3, the Eternal Collection for PC, PS4, Xbox One. Diablo 3, Rise of the Necromancer DLC for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Final Fantasy 15, Episode Prompto, and Free Regalia Type D for the PS4 and Xbox One. Danganronpa, another episode, Ultra Despair Girls for PS4, a US only release. Valkyria Revolution for PS4, Vita, and Xbox One. I don't, yeah, a lot of these I haven't actually played or heard of, which is sad. Elite Dangerous for the PS4, RPG Maker Fez for 3DS, America's Army Proving Grounds for the PS4, Ancient Amulator Amulator for the PSVR. Wow, that was apparently I am drunk while really reading this, which is horrible. Arizona Sunshine for the PSVR. Cavernous Wastes for PS4, PSVR. Cryptarch for PS4. Man, there's a lot of PS4 games getting released this week. Dark Arcana for the Carnival PS4. The Golf Club 2 for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Medieval Defenders for the PS4. Plague Road for the PS4. Poi for the PS4. The 10th Line for the PS4. And The World of Nubla for the PS4. All right, Wednesday, June 28th, we have Jump Jet Rex for the PS4. Everything is released for the PS4 this week. It's insane. Thursday, June 29th, we have The Elder Scrolls Legends Heroes of Skyrim for Android, iOS, Mac, and PC. The Mambo for Switch, and Goner for the Switch. Then Friday, today, Crash Bandicoot and Sane Trilogy for the PS4. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC 1 for the Switch and Wii U, and a lot of people are looking forward to that. Micro Machines World Series for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One, Tokyo Xanadu for PS4 and Vita, and Area Deluxe Edition for the PS4. On all of this list, I think the one that's the most anticipated is probably Crash Bandicoot and Saintic Trilogy. Um, it's only for the PS4 right now. I don't know if it's going to release for the Xbox or any other system. Right now, it's only PS4, which makes sense. The game, from what I saw, it looks really good. The remastered versions look really, really, really good and crisp. And I used to love those games. My cousin used to have a PS1, and I used to play these games all the time on the PS1, which it's awesome. Other than that, I'm assuming, I don't know if a lot of people are playing Diablo 3 these days. I stopped playing after the first 2 months that it came out, so on PC. Final Fantasy, getting DLC. We're getting another episode, I guess. A lot of people seem to like Final Fantasy. Again, I'm not a big fan of it, so yeah, it's not for me. And other than that, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are playing, and I'll talk about it on the show. All right, so now on to the talking point of the week. So since there was the NES SNES Mini announcement, I kind of wanted to go through um, my top five games in no particular order that I like on the Super NES. Again, growing up, I didn't really have one. I had a Genesis, so there's a lot of games that were cross-platform, like Mortal Kombat. However, Mortal Kombat on Genesis had the blood code, whereas the Super NES did not have it, and so on and so forth. There's a couple of games that had a few differences. They came out on different platforms, but they had a few differences. But since the SNES Mini Classic Mini is coming out, I wanted to kind of delve into a little bit the games that I played while I was growing up. And again, these are my top five, but there's no particular order to them. So number one is, and my wife will probably agree with me, is Super Mario World. Um, I think after this is where I started. No, actually, it's the N64. I started kind of not playing every iteration of Super Mario. But Super Mario World was really, really fun. I always loved it. I play it with my wife all the time in co-op, or we play it together. It's really fun. It's still fun to this day, like many of the Mario games. Um, it's great. Um, I have nothing else to say. I think anybody that's owned an SNES has to have Super Mario World. That's it. That's all. There's no argument. There's no other argument for that. So, um, yeah. Um, so that was my number one game. Number two, Final Fight and Final Fight 2. So I picked these in particular because they were released only or I believe they were only released for the Super NES, at least on console. Um, and then after that, it got released to other systems as well. It was an arcade game that I used to love playing, and I always loved Final Fight. I love Final Fight 2. Um, and it's one of those games that I wish was on uh, the list of games being released for the Super NES. I always liked fighting games, button mashers, I guess. Um, I always found them fun. Not Street Fighter, sorry. Streets of Rage 2. Streets of Rage 2 is probably the best game, um, button mashing with the best soundtrack. It's amazing. I loved it. But it was also released on the Genesis. In this case, Final Fight, it was only released on Super NES. So Final Fight and Final Fight 2. And for me, it's an essential to have it. I have Final Fight. I was never Final Fight 2 is hard to find. I have it on as a ROM, but I was never able to actually find the cartridges. It's hard to find, but one day, if the price is right, somebody doesn't sell it for $100, I'll probably pick it up at one point. Next on the list, the Donkey Kong Country series, so Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. you can't have a Super NES without Donkey Kong Country. I find it's a disappointing that they don't have two, which in many people's minds is the better game of the two. Although they're both strong games, um, I find it a shame that they're only putting in the first one. If you're gonna put two racing games on there, you gotta put the two Donkey Kong Countries on there. That's my take on it. Um, that's it. It's a fun platformer. You play Donkey Kong. It's basically the opposite of Mario. Yeah. You collect bananas and you go through different levels. Very exciting, very good. Always been fun. Replay value is amazing. I can play that game over and over and over again, and it never gets old. So yeah, Donkey Kong Country series. Number four on my list is a compilation, which is amazing when you're thinking about it. It's Super Mario All Stars. So what that is that it's the remastered version of Super Mario 1, 2, and 3 with updated graphics. And as an addition, you also have Super Mario The Lost Levels, which is the remastered version, like graphically remastered versions, of the real Super Mario 2 that was released in Japan, which is awesome. I always, back in the day, I had heard about it and I always wanted to play it. It's not the exact original, for sure. It doesn't have the same graphics. It's updated graphics, like every other game. It's revamped for 16-bit, but still fun nonetheless. It's a very difficult game, not easy at all, but it's still fun. Um, the thing that I really loved about it is that it was the best of, I didn't have to take my NES to play Super Mario 1 and 2 and 3. And then I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, and there's nobody here to correct me, so let me know if I'm wrong. There was a release at one point, I don't know if it's North America or somewhere, that they had, it was Super Mario 1, 2, 3, Super Mario The Lost Levels, and Super Mario World all on one cartridge. And I believe they sold it with it was a bundle that they would sell with the console. Um, I vaguely remember this. I don't know. I read it somewhere or, um, which is awesome. I mean, you're getting essentially five games in one cartridge. It's still, I guess, it's a 5-in-1, those famous cartridges from Nintendo. Um, yeah, so Super Mario All Stars, you cannot go wrong. You have the best of all worlds playing NES and Super NES games. You even have the Lost Levels, which is the Japanese release. Really fun on all fronts. So that's amazing. The last game on my list is one that on the NES I used to love playing this, and I like playing this on the Super NES as well. And it's also going to be released on the Classic Mini. It's Super Punch Out. The game itself is not too difficult. I mean, it is what it is. Um, I just love playing these games, and I just always like the series. I'm happy that they're releasing it for the classic SNES Classic. Um, there's on this particular version there's a few new there's actually new characters, whereas not in the first one. Obviously, it's not Mike Tyson's Punch Out; it's Super Punch Out. So you end up fighting Nick Bruiser at the end. Nick and Rick Bruiser. There's some returning favorites. So you have, instead of Piston Honda, you have Piston Hurricane, Bob Charlie, which is a Jamaican guy, Dragon Chan, which is I guess a karate guy. It's very stereotypical. Mr. Sandman makes a return. Bald Bull makes a return. The equivalent of Glass Joe in the original comes back as Gabby J. You have Mad Clown. Super Macho Man makes a return. And like the original, you have minor, major, world circuit, and then you have the special circuit. In the original game, you have to put in a special code to get to the special circuit. Um, Here, it's just part of the gameplay. I always liked it. I always go back to it. It's always fun. I suck at it. I think I get past the major circuit, but when I get to the world one, I get stuck on Aaron Ryan and Helki Kajero. Um, but yeah, I'm sure with practice I'll probably get better. I haven't, I pick it up once every 6 months or something. So, and I don't play profusely, but you know what? It's still a fun game to pick. Even the original Punch Out, I still pick it up. I still love beating all those fighters, and yeah, I always have trouble against Mike Tyson. I haven't been able to beat him in a very very long time, but I'm hoping that one day I'll get good again and I'll be able to play it. But right now, yeah, it's a difficult task. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so Super Punch Out for the Super NES, one of my favorites. I love it. So that's my list. There's a few honorable mentions that they're not on my list because they're not. I mean, they could have probably made the list. They're just very close seconds, I guess. International Superstar Soccer, which I've played a lot when I was a kid. Between that and NHL '94, I used to play a lot. A lot of these games, the games that I put on this list were exclusives to the Super NES, or else I would have probably put the NHL franchises in there: NHL '94, NHL '95. Yeah, I used to love to play all those games. Madden. And yeah, so International Superstar Soccer, so that's amazing. You just play tournaments, and it's just good old 16-bit soccer fun. And a game that I rediscovered recently on my Retrobit generations, one of the few that didn't have any bugs on it, Knights of the Round. I really like. I played it again, and it's really really fun. And it's one of those games I kind of forgot that existed, and then when I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember playing that. In my mind, it's a Super NES. I used to rent it all the time at my local video store, and I really really like it. It's still fun to this day. You have different difficulty settings, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so that rounds up my top five with two honorable mentions. Let me know what you guys think. Is there any games that's missing from my list that I would have liked to play? There's a bunch of third-party games that I used to love, like Mortal Kombat. But then I'm more of a Genesis guy, so I liked it more on Genesis. There's a bunch of games I know that are third-party that were really good. But these are my first party that I really love. They're in my top five. Some of them made them on the Classic Mini, some of them didn't. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So that's my list. And yeah, so check out my review this week on my new website, corporategamer.net. This week's review is Racket Attack, tennis game for the NES. Great game, fun. Check out that review. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on my Twitch, Corporate Gamer 9, Facebook, Corporate Gamer, just search for that. Twitter, Corporate Gamer 9, YouTube channel, just search for Corporate Gamer, you'll have it. My website, corporategamer.net, HTTPS, well, actually, I'll just say it, https://corporategamer.net. And you can also listen to me on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and Stitchers. I also have another podcast called the Roundtable.ca podcast where we talk about different entertainment topics, music, albums, movies, and so on. So take a listen, download us on there. All right, guys, have a great week. Hope to talk to you soon. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you next week. All right,